Hello friends, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Polity This week by Drishti IAS. In this video, we will be discussing the developments which has happened in the field of polity in last week. So let's start our discussion. So here we will be discussing these 5 topics today, that is U-turn on the railway recruitment. Earlier when we are talking about in year 2019, there was this merger of various services which has happened, okay, in the railway sector, okay. Earlier there was this exam which was conducted by the you can say UPSC. There were 2 exams were there, okay, that was civil services examination and then engineering services examination. But then these 2 examinations were merged into IRMS, Indian Railway Management Service, okay. But recently government has taken a U-turn from their policy of merger and they will be going back to the old regime. We will try to understand why, okay. Then coming to the next one, domestic violence against women. Recently Supreme Court has said something about this thing. They have said that the Domestic Violence Act is the one of the most you can say misused act in India. So we'll be talking about that. We will be seeing that what are again different you can say safeguards which are there for women in our country. So we'll be talking about that. Then coming to the next one, we will be talking about the abetment of suicide. Recently Supreme Court has in a case said that there are different kind of categories which are there when we are talking about the relations. One is the you can say physical relations, or you can say some kind of your relationship wherein you are having a blood relation, okay. Second is basically the in the official capacity. So we'll try to understand when in the case of suicide, when you will be holding a person responsible for that, for the abetment, okay. So we'll be talking about that. Coming to the next one, the coalition government in India. Recently you know that there was this government which has when we are talking about the elections, recently elections has happened in Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana. Otherwise also when we are talking about the 2024 general elections of Lok Sabha, we have seen the you can say this particular topic in the discourses, that is coalition government. So we will be talking about that. Then in the end we will be talking about the Dadasaheb Phalke Award which has been recently awarded to Mithun Chakravarti, okay. So we will be discussing all these things today. So let's start with the discussion. Before moving further, I would like to tell you that GS Foundation courses for prelims as well as mains are available in English medium at our offline centers like Lucknow and Karol Bagh. These courses are starting on the date, that is 16th October in Lucknow and 17th October Karol Bagh, with the respective time, that is 8 AM. You can directly visit the center to avail, or you can say take admission into the courses, or you can call on this number, that is 8010440440 for any kind of inquiry, okay. So I hope that is clear. Now we can move further and start with the first topic, that is U-turn on the railways recruitment policy, okay. Here you can see the government on October 5th 2024 reinstated the recruitment of the railway officers through the exams of UPSC, civil services examination and the engineering services examination, reversing to the 2019 decision to recruit through the CSE alone for the Indian Railway Management Service. I'll tell you what has happened, okay. Earlier in railways there were 2 kind of services. One was your technical service, wherein you will be having the engineering related services, communication related services, etc., okay. Then there was this non-technical or the management related service, okay. So for the technical service there was this exam which was your engineering service examination, okay. And for the non-technical we had civil services examination, and both these examinations were being conducted by the UPSC only, okay. But in 2019 the government has gone for the merger. Government has said that we don't need these 2 examinations, we will be taking one examination, that is civil services examination, and through which we will be filling the post for the both the you can say requirements, okay. Now that has happened in 2019, merger has happened. After that there were certain concerns which we will be seeing in the further slides, because of which government realized that that decision was not working well, and that is why they have reversed it, and they are saying that we will be going back to the old regime, wherein we will be taking 2 examinations. For the technicals we will go for the engineering services examination, and for the non-technical we will be going for the civil services examination, okay. This was the whole issue. Now let's see why and what has happened. Pre-merger structure, as I told you, there were non-technical as well as the technical services. Here you can say when we talk about the non-technical services, there were 3 services. One was your Indian Railway Account Service, Indian Railway Traffic Service and Indian Railways Personnel Service, okay. So these were the 3 services which were your non-technical services, okay. Coming to the next one, technical services, it comprises of the 5 services. One was including the engineering services like Indian Railway Service of Engineers, okay, wherein all the engineers, civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, they were hired, okay. Second was mechanical engineers, IRSME, okay, electrical engineers, IRSEE, and then we had the signal engineers, that is IRSSE, and the stores services, that is IRSS, okay. So basically under this engineering etc., there are various services which were there. These are the 5 services. So total there were 8 services. In 2019 they have gone for the merger and they have merged these 8 services into IRMS, Indian Railway Management Service, okay. In 2019 December, the Indian government approved the unification of 8 Group A railway services into a single entity called Indian Railway Management Service, okay. The management, this merger aimed to address the departmentalism, ensure the smoother operations and the leaner bureaucracies. What they wanted to do is that because of the various services, there were nearly 8 services and there were obviously such kind of departments which were there, wherein various services were being taken care of. Now because of the various departments in silo, there was this you can say issue of coordination which was there, okay, because of which bureaucratic hurdles were there, red tapeism were there. So that is why for the smoother functioning and the optimum use of the resources, they have gone for the merger, okay, but that was a hasty decision. Now coming to the next one, reform. Goal was to go for the, you can say, taking one examination through the UPSC civil services examination, and all these services were put under the UPSC civil services examination. Now what were the concerns, what has happened after the merger? Now since there was this technical requirements which were there, because of which what happened, since obviously technical staff was there which are having the technical expertise. Now when we talk about the civil services examination, you know that all the people from the civil services examination, they are not expert, they are basically your generalists, okay, and because of which, sorry, they have the knowledge of various fields but they do not have the precise and technical knowledge, okay, because of which there was this shortage of the technical staff. Let's see, there was this person A which is from the history background and he has cleared the civil services examination with a particular rank and he has got into the Indian Railway Management Service, okay, and now he is heading the department which is having the technical expertise, okay. Then he won't be of, you can say, any help because he does not have the technical knowledge, and because of which he has to be dependent on the, you can say, juniors over there which are already there, okay. So because of which there was this gap or void which has been created for the technical staff. So crippling shortage of the technical officers. Now difficulty due to the absence of the specialist engineers in the role requiring the technical expertise, IRMS recruits were generalist and the reliance on them left a void in the technical departments, okay. So the people who are being selected from the IRMS or the civil services examinations, they did not have the technical, you can say, expertise. Coming to the next one, field positioning delays. After 2019, that has happened in, you can say, December. So after 2019, in 2022 one batch was recruited and 2023 second batch was recruited, but yet they did not get their field postings yet, and because of which there was this dearth of the staff, okay. So these were the 2 things which has happened, okay. Other than that, if you look at the pressure was on those people who has got the promotions or on those people who are in the subordinate posts, okay, and that is why this particular step was a failure and government has taken a step back and now they are going for the, you can say, pre-merger situation. Now we will be having 2 examination, engineering services and the civil services examination, okay. Now what now? So there are certain experts which are saying that this was the need of the hour. Here you can see railway officers argues that this decision was the need of the hour as the merger was hastily implemented without sufficient consultation. Second is the shortage of the technical officers has created an operational challenge, and restoring ESE, engineering service examination recruitment, is seen as a necessary move to fix this issue, okay. Now what is the negative point over here? Concern have been raised about the future of the officers. They have already been recruited in the batch of 2022 and 23, okay. Whatever you can say officers were recruited, what will be the future of these officers, okay. So that is about this particular issue which we have discussed. Now we can move to the next one, that is talking about the domestic violence, okay. Recently Supreme Court has noticed that when we talk about these acts, So Domestic Violence Act, and when we talk about the, you can say, Dowry Acts, etc., these are the most exploited or the misused acts. Okay, and that is why domestic violence was in news. So we have taken this you can say topic over here, and we will be discussing about the domestic violence and what are the safeguards which are there. Okay, domestic violence refer to any form of the abuse, whether physical, emotional, sexual, economic, within the confines of the home, family, or the domestic unit. Okay, whatever is happening inside the home, if there is some kind of exploitation, be it physical, emotional, sexual, economic, which is happening inside the home, that will be covered under the domestic violence. Okay, moving further, National Family Health Survey has said, or there was some data which is saying that 29.3% of the married women experience domestic violence or the sexual violence. Okay, second is 3.1% of the pregnant women suffered from the physical violence during the pregnancy. Okay, coming to the next one, 87% of the married women who are victims of the marital violence do not seek help. Now why they do not seek help? Because that is happening inside the closed doors. Okay, they are not aware of it. So that is why this particular issue of domestic violence is there. No doubt there is a misuse of that, that is a totally different story, but the reality is that there are 87% of the married women who are not able to report this particular violence which is happening inside the home. Okay, so that is why there are certain safeguards which are being placed under our law. Here you can say legal frameworks over here, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Okay, now here it is clear that protection of women, so you can say that that is a gender biased law. Okay, so that is one thing which we have learned from here, that it is a gender biased law. Now it covers physical, emotional, sexual, economic abuses inside the home, provides various orders for the protection, residence, and the relief. Okay, so that is the provision which is there in the Protection of Domestic Violence Act. Then coming to the Indian Penal Code 1860, which has been actually, now you know that the you can say criminal laws has been reformed, but that is there. We will be talking about that particular provisions as of now. Section 498A deals with the cruelty by a husband or his relatives. Okay, so that is a criminal offense. Okay, now this is a separate statute which is talking about the domestic violence, and here it has been already made a criminal offense. Okay, criminalize the act of cruelty, harassment, and the torture. Coming to the next one, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Okay, here you can say makes giving or receiving dowry a crime. Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, which is saying that section 354A amended the IPC to include the new offences related to the sexual harassment in case of the domestic violence. Okay, then National Commission for Women, which is there, you know that 1990 there was this commission which was there, safeguards the women's rights and plays a key role in addressing the domestic violence. They are also there to provide help as well. Okay, the Prohibition of the Child Marriage Act 2006. Obviously when we talk about the Child Marriage Act, the worst victim, obviously both the parties, be it boy or be it girl, they are victims of it, but the most impact can be felt on a girl which is a child at that point of time. So it prevents the child marriages and prohibits domestic violence against the child brides. Okay, so these are the provisions which are there in our law with respect to the domestic violence. So you can go through this or you can remember this. Now I hope this is clear. Now we can move further to the next one. Before that, there are certain global initiatives which are there. Okay, you can go through these initiatives, you can mention these initiatives in your, you can say, examinations, etc. Okay, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of the Discrimination Against the Woman, that is CEDAW, that was adopted in 1979 by the General Assembly of UN. Okay, so that is UNG has adopted it, that is to eliminate discrimination against the woman in all areas of life. Okay, other than that, UN Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Okay, so that is also against the domestic violence, you can say. Moving further, here you can say Safe Cities and the Safe Public Spaces, that is kind of initiative which is there by UN Women. Okay, so here also they are saying that in the public spaces as well as the working spaces. Okay, and Beijing Platform for Action 1995 and SDG, that is Gender Equality Goal, which is there. Okay, so when we talk about the Sustainable Development Goal 5, that is talking about the gender equality. Okay, so these are certain international steps which are there in the field of the you can say domestic violence, or you can say to safeguard the interest of the woman. Moving further, we are talking about the abetment of suicide. Recently Supreme Court, there was this case wherein Supreme Court has given some parameter wherein a person accused of abetment of suicide can be punished. There are certain, you can say, exclusion that has also been pointed out by the Supreme Court. So let's talk about the, you can say, abetment of suicide. Indian Penal Code 1860 makes abetment of suicide a punishable offence under section 306. Why are we still talking about the Indian Penal Code? Because obviously reforms were there, they have been implemented in July, but the thing is still there are various cases which are working on these sections. Okay, so section 306 of the Indian Penal Code is talking about the abetment of the suicide, and it prescribes either a jail term up to 10 years or a fine or both in case of the abetment of suicide. Okay, section 108 of the new Sahitas, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, is talking about the same thing. Okay, so section 306 has been converted into section 108 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Okay, if any person commits suicide, whoever abets the commission of the such suicide, abets means, or you can say some person who is giving incentive or somehow you can say pushing someone to go for the suicide, or you can say encouraging someone to go for the suicide. Okay, so such acts are called as abetments. Okay, so if a person commits suicide, whoever abets the commission of the suicide shall be punished with the imprisonment either for a term which may be extended to 10 years, or shall also be liable to fine, which we have already seen under the section 306 or the 108. Okay, so basically if a person is encouraging you to go for a suicide and that particular person go for the act of the suicide, in that case, okay, the person who has encouraged that particular person to go for the suicide, that will also be punished under a term of imprisonment, or you can say they can also be liable for the fine or both. Okay, coming to next one, generally the fine is paid to the kin of the deceased. Abetment is defined as including instigating, engaging in a conspiracy, or assisting in committing the offence. Okay, so abetment is by basically you can say that incitement or the encouragement or somehow helping or conspiracy to let a person die. So such things are covered under abetment. Now moving further here, how serious this offence of abetment is. Now this is not equivalent to murder obviously. Okay, because in the act of the murder you are actually slitting someone's throat or you are actually killing someone, but here you are enticing someone. Okay, now abetment of suicide is a serious offence that is tried in a session court, and it is a cognizable, non-bailable and the non-compoundable offence. Okay, cognizable means that you don't require magistrate's permission to go for the arrest. Okay, or you can say that the cognizance can be taken by the police officer, you don't need magistrate for that. Okay, so police can arrest you without a warrant. Okay, so that is basically a cognizable offence, is the one in which a police officer can make an arrest without warrant from a court. Okay, so that is one thing. Second, non-bailable offence. So obviously there is no bail in such you can say conditions. So it means that bail is granted to the accused at the discretion of the court and not as a matter of right. Okay, this is not a matter of right, but if court seems that there is no prima facie evidence etc., in that case court can decide on their own discretion. Okay, then non-compoundable offence is the one in which the case cannot be withdrawn by the complainant even when the complainant and the accused has reached a compromise. Okay, so there is, you can say that there is a less scope of compromise, because even if the you can say the complainant and the accused has actually gone for the compromise, this is a crime against a state. Okay, so that is why the you can say court will decide on that. So compromise scope is very less, or you can say no scope of compromise is there in this case. Okay, so that is about the seriousness of the abetment of suicide. Now we can see that what are the key findings of the Supreme Court in the recent case. Okay, so wherein Supreme Court has said that the incitement and encouragement, okay, they have tried to understand these two terms. The offence is committed when the accused's action leave the deceased with no viable option but suicide. Okay, so that is the last resort. When someone is enticing you to a level or increasing you to a level or harassing you to a level that you don't seem any other option available to you, in that case such offence will be attracted or such liability will be attracted. Coming to the next one, incitement could arise from the sentimental ties or the physical relations. Okay, sentimental ties or the physical relation, that is basically you are having a family bond over there. Okay, a personal relations. Okay, other than that, official ties, that is on the basis of your workplace etc. So court has actually taken you can say into consideration, they have said that there are two kind of ties. One is sentimental, wherein person is attached to a person. Okay, and if there is something wrong which is going over there, and because of the heat of the moment etc., that person can go for the suicide. Okay, coming to the second one, the official relationship, wherein there is an obligation. Okay, for a consideration, for a salary, you are offered, you are obliged to offer your services. Okay, in that case, if the employee is saying certain things, or you can say they are trying to pressurize you to work, etc. So in that case, there should be a caution while attracting the liability of section 108 of the Bharatiya Sanhita, Nyaya Sanhita. Okay. Now court has said that the sentimental ties are the one emotional attachment that could lead to a physiological disturbances if disturbed. Okay, if there is a fight. Now if there is a small fight, or you can say some kind of argument is there, that will not lead to suicide, but that is happening on the regular basis, that has actually led to a torture of a person, that can lead to a suicide. Okay, coming to the next one, official relationship, expectation of duty performance dictated by law, rules or policy which might cause pressure. Now let's say if there is a working environment which is not very feasible, which is toxic, and because of which a person is feeling this harassment by the employee, etc. In that case, there can also be a suicide. But court here has said that for such things, be it sentimental ties or be it the official duty or etc., in that case you cannot directly say that simply accusing someone, or simply, let's say, you can say some kind of argument which has happened in the office, and that person goes home and go for a suicide for that matter. In that case, you cannot say that this was an abetment of suicide, because these small things will keep happening. But there should be a material which is proving that there was a reason behind it. Okay, let's say if a person is you can say tortured at the workplace. Okay, so there should be a material which is suggesting that there was a torture or there was a harassment, and on the basis of which you can go for the abatement of the suicide. Okay, now here, parameter of the abatement of suicide, court has said that there are certain parameters which you can say consider, that is unbearable harassment or torture. Okay, so normal fight or normal arguments are not considered for the you can say as a reason of the suicide, but if there is a unbearable harassment or the torture, in that case you can go for the abatement. Okay, then emotional exploitation, the accused made the victim feel worthless, leading them to consider into suicide. Okay, so if there is a material which is suggesting that there was this emotional exploitation which was there, that can also lead to the attraction of the liability under the abatement of suicide. Okay, then threats, there are threats of harm, financial ruin or harm of the family member, etc., that can also attract that. And then false allegation, public humiliation, damage to the reputation due to the false accusation, etc. So these are the parameters court has suggested that you have to consider, on which you can decide whether you have to take the case with respect to abatement of suicide or not. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next one, that is coalition governments in India. Recently elections are there, and you know that the government in the various state has been formed under the form of a coalition government, and at the center also in 2024, if we consider, that was a coalition government under the NDA. Okay, so let's see. Coalition governments are common phenomena in India's political landscape resulting from the multi-party system. This presentation explores. Okay, so we will be talking about these particular issues in the what are the issues, what are the advantages of the coalition government. Okay, so let's see. Emergence of the coalition government in India. Now post independence, if you see, for a few decades you have seen only one party, that was Indian National Congress. So there was no need of the coalition. Okay, there was only one party which was there and which was actually handling the government. Coming to the rise of the regional parties, after some time, in the you can say after the demise of Jawaharlal Nehru, after you can say 65, 67 around, you have seen that there are various regional parties which has been started to rise. Okay, the parties were available in the regions, but most of the time you will be seeing that Indian National Congress was having this dominance. Okay, so after that there was this regional interest which started to rise. Okay, when there are different parties, they will project different interests, and because of which at that point of time they have seen the rise of the regional parties. Regional parties emerged, challenging the Congress hegemony and diversifying the political landscape with the different interest of these parties. Okay, coming to the next one, fragmented mandates. No single party secured a majority in subsequent elections, making coalition governments inevitable. Now after you can say there was this time of Morarji Desai, etc. Okay, Janata Party. Okay, and there was this Jan Sangh. So ultimately we have seen that there are various parties which are getting prominent, and since INC could not get majority, so obviously there was no other party which has also got the majority, so they have gone for the coalition. Okay, wherein two or more parties came together, they have secured the number and then they have formed the government. So basically in the coalition government what happens is that there is no party which is having a majority to form the government. So that is why where the different parties with different agenda will come together, form an agreement, and then they will come into power. Okay, so that is a form of coalition government. Okay, Moving further, here you can see emergence of the coalition government, which we have already seen. Now, characteristics of the coalition government. So there are multiple parties. Obviously, single party is not getting the majority, so multiple parties are coming together. Coalition involve two or more parties with each with its own ideology, policies and agendas. If they are having the same ideology, same policies, same agenda, why would they go for making a different party? So obviously, in coalition, different parties will have different ideologies, different agendas. Okay. Coming to the next one, common minimum program. They will come to a common minimum program, because obviously since ideologies are different, they have to agree on something. Okay, so a shared document outlining the agreed upon policies and the priorities serving a binding agreement. Okay, so that is there. Now coming to the next one, that is power sharing. Coalition partners divide the ministry's portfolio. Obviously, if someone is coming to form a government with you, they will have their own interest, they will ask you something in the return. Okay, so that is their dynamic nature. Coalition governments are inherently unstable, because when there are different players which are having the leverages on you, so if they pull out of the support, then obviously the government will not be there. So that is why it is kind of unstable government which are there. So these are dynamic governments, you can say. Okay, prone to internal conflicts due to the different ideologies and the priorities. Now advantages and disadvantages are there. Let's see. Wider representation. When in a government coalition parties are there, there are various parties in the government. That is why there is a various you can say strata of the society, they are being represented. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is stability and the governance. Now well functioning coalition can ensure long term stability. Okay, well functioning coalitions, that means that if the coalition is having more similarities, okay, if they are having more similar or the shared ideologies, in that case the coalition governments can go for the long terms as well, and they can go for the better governance as well. Okay, because representation is good, so there are high chances that more and more people are represented over there, and that is why governance is also, or you can say the issues of more people are being you can say addressed. That is why governance will be better. So that is one thing. Compromise and the consensus. Since you are acting with different players and you are on a particular agreement, okay, so there will, you have to come up with the consensus, you have to come up with the compromise, so that all of their interests are being served. Then check and balances. If one party is trying to get more power, the other party will say that if you do this, then we will take away our support. In that case, you can say there is some kind of check and balance which is there. Okay, so these are the advantages. Look at the disadvantages over here. Ideological differences. If ideological differences are there, so decision making will be difficult. Okay, so that will be a time taking process, and there can be more and more disagreements. Okay, so that is there. Second is power struggle. Within the party there are internal conflicts, there can be a power struggle between the different leaders of the parties as well. Okay, lack of accountability. Now since there are blurred line of responsibility, various parties are there, let's say 3 parties are there, one party has gone for a particular act which has actually hurt the sentiment of a particular section of the society, so the other party will say that we did not do it, they did it. Okay, so there is a lack of accountability which is there in the coalition governments. Okay, so these are the challenges. Now coming to the next, which is coalition governments in India. So there are various you can say governments which were there, but we will be talking about most prominent ones here. United Front government, that is in 1996, 1998. Okay, first time if we talk about the coalition government which was made in India, that was under leadership of Morarji Desai. Okay, so please remember that. The first Congress, non-BJP led by HD Devegowda was short-lived. Okay, and then after that when we are talking about the United Progressive Alliance, that is UPA 2004-2009, that was led by Sonia Gandhi, UPA government, you know that was there under the Manmohan Singh. After that National Democratic Alliance, that was there 1998 to 2004 under Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and then 2014 to present also we are having this you can say NDA. Okay, so this is about the prominent governance coalition governments which were there. Now moving further, here you can say impact of the coalition governments. Okay, so obviously rise of the regionalism. Coalition government has led to, you can say, when you know that you can form such governments, so there was this you can say regional parties which were having more sway. Okay, So because of which the regionalism or the idea of regionalism was also propagated, or you can say this has taken a new shape, wherein the regional requirements has also been discussed at the center. Okay, so that was there. Coming to the next one, federalism and the decentralization. Power is not centralized with one party. Now there are various parties which are having this power. Okay, second thing is federalism. Obviously when we are talking about the regionalism, so there are, that is happening in different regions, so federalism get strengthened, because of which then policy making and the governance. Coalition has influenced policy making, resulting into more inclusive and more representative approach. Okay, so I hope that is fine about the coalition. This much will be enough for you to write an answer on the coalition. Now coming to the last topic, that is Dadasaheb Phalke Award. Recently Mithun Chakravarti has got this award in the cinema. When we talk about Dadasaheb Phalke Award, this is the highest honor in our country with respect to cinema. Here you can see it is country's highest film honor, introduced in 1969, conferred for the outstanding contribution for growth and the development of Indian cinema. It was awarded for the first time to Devika Rani, the first lady of Indian cinema. And when we talk about the you can say award, there are, you can say, a Swarn Kamal is there, a cash prize for rupees 10 lakh is there, a certificate will be there, a silk roll will be there, and there will be a shawl. Okay, so these are the components of the award. Most important is that there is a monetary element which is also there, and a Swarn Kamal will also be there. Okay, it is presented by the President of India. Okay, now when we talk about the Dadasaheb Phalke, that is Dhundraj Govind Phalke. Okay, he was Indian producer, director and the screenwriter who directed the India's first feature film, that is Raja Harishchandra. Okay, if you get time, you can go and watch this movie. That was, you can say, aired in 1913. Okay, so that is there. He is known as the father of Indian cinema. So please keep this fact in your mind. That is Dhundraj Govind Phalke, or the Dadasaheb Phalke, was considered as the father of Indian cinema. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now this discussion stays over here, and now we will be talking about certain questions which you have to attempt and answer to me in the comment box. Okay, why did the government decide to reverse the IRMS merger in 2024 to reduce the number of officers in railways due to the shortage of technical officers in the railway system, to increase the recruitment of non-technical officers, to unify all Indian services? Okay, moving further, question number 2, under the Domestic Violence Act, can men be considered as the victim of the domestic violence? Yes, but only in cases of emotional abuse. No, only women can file complaints under the act. Yes, but only if they are you can say married. And third is yes, the act provides protection to men and women equally. Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. Question number 3, under which section of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is abetment of suicide is now classified? Section 302, section 107, section 108, 306. Okay, moving further, question number 4, which Indian Prime Minister led the first coalition government at the national level? Okay, Indira Gandhi, Morarji Desai, PV Narasimha Rao, or Atal Bihari Vajpayee? You have to choose the most appropriate answer over here. Question number 5, who was the first recipient of the Dadasaheb Phalke Award? Raj Kapoor, Devika Rani, Satyajit Ray, or B.N. Sarkar? Okay, now there are 5 questions. You can read these questions again and again, and then you can accordingly answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you, and please subscribe the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.